Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerberson, joined with Reed Bacon. Got a great one today. We're going to tell you exactly why that 12-team playoff for the college football playoffs is a great idea. Exactly why the addition to Neyland Stadium might not be that great, and why we just love Vol baseball right now. So let's get into the show.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score: Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee. Tennessee wins! Caught by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
So before we get into the show, gotta shout out our number one sponsor at Bet Online. You know, baseball is coming up. You also have the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, and there's just a ton of stuff to bet on. So for all of your news, your stats, all the odds that you would want, Bet Online has that. So go on, head over there, and get in on that action. It's fun to bet on these games. It gets a little more interesting that way. So visit the website or use your mobile device to sign up and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next tip-off, face-off, or pitch, head on over to BetOnline and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, welcome on, everybody. Exciting episode today. Going to get to talk about some college football playoff updates. And let's start off, though, talking about baseball. The Vols are now playing LSU again this weekend. Super excited for it. It's actually Saturday right now when we're recording this. So games tonight. And I just want to start off by saying their coach is a damn crybaby. Reed, I think you might agree with me there.
Let's go! Got the UT sweatshirt on this morning. I'm a big baseball guy over here. I used to strike out fools in my sleep. No, I really am. I'm fired up. I'm nervous that we're playing LSU. I don't like playing teams that are hot. I don't like playing teams that their coach is retiring or somebody went down with a season-ending injury. And just like these like other storylines, it's like the storylines that like Tom Rinaldi's doing like on College Game Day, because then those teams are always like playing well, or they always have like this extra just like stuff looming.
It's like crazy motivation. Like their mascot died last week, so now they're going to play really hard.
Yeah, exactly. And so so I always get nervous about that stuff. I'm fired up, but I am nervous. Like, I don't get nervous for baseball, but I guess I am now. I just would have rather played, who was it, Oregon or Oregon State that they played?
Yeah, I think so, Oregon.
I just know I would rather have played someone that has to travel all the way here. They didn't perform well against LSU. It sounded like they choked, but I just don't want to play LSU because they are a good baseball team. They have a good coach. The last time we played them, I know we're two different teams now, but it was like we swept them. That sounds great. But me being a non-big baseball fan, I was like, oh, we swept them. Great. And then I found out they were one run each. They were all walk-offs, like pretty close games is what they said on the radio this week. So, yeah, I'm fired up, though. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
if we get to one tonight, I'll feel very, very bad. I'll feel much better.
Yeah, they were close games for sure. I remember watching them. You're in Knoxville. Are you thinking about going down to that block party they're putting on?
So I'm fired up about the block party. it's pretty impressive that it started on Twitter and that then people ran with it. And I think that
ain't nothing like Vol Twitter, baby. Ain't nothing.
There is nothing like Vol Twitter, but it's funny. Like, that's such a slippery slope from Danny White because it's like, if there's any negative, like, that means he sees all the people. Well, most likely he sees all the people that say stuff to him that are either legit serious, that are talking nonsense. Like, they legit think that a coach should be fired after 2 games in, or you have people that are trolling that. Because I mean, I hate it, but I do know people I guess kind of buddies of mine, but they're more like acquaintances, but they literally make troll accounts just to say stuff, just to get laughs. But like, some people don't know that. And then it's like, so it's kind of scary because it's like, it shows that he does listen and see stuff, but then it's also, it was used for a good thing. Like, he heard the block party idea, they listened to it. So it was great. But I'm telling you, Vol Twitter is awesome, but it gave them a lot of credibility because when it comes season time, they're going to be throwing more stuff out there for Danny White to hear.
That's true. It's like, oh, well, you gave us this. Why not give us a little bit more once the season rolls around?
Right. Very slippery slope. So,
yeah.
But he's a smart guy. He's not going to listen to the nonsense. He knows he can't. But no, I think it's really cool. I did think about going down there. I'm not going to go down there. I'm actually going to be on the golf course with my dad this afternoon, and then he and I are going to finish up and actually watch the game. But I think it's going to be dope. I saw that they are expecting like 80 to 90,000 people, which is just like, I mean, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I lived in Nashville when I'm not a Predators fan, but I lived in Nashville when the Predators were doing all that stuff and the block parties became a huge deal where they'd shut down Broadway, and it was a cool scene. I mean, the whole city was buzzing about it. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they should do this more often, just for different stuff. Like, and especially with, Lindsey Nelson Stadium the way it is, there's no room. It's 4,500 seats and everybody wants to watch it. It's like the perfect opportunity. And Danny White comes out with other news. Danny White comes out with his $500 million plan to renovate everything, saying that it's going to all the sports. It's going to exactly where the donors want it to go. So, if the donors saying, I want this $5 million to go to baseball, it'll go to baseball. But looking to renovate Neyland and add like a bar area in one of the end zones and a Jumbotron. Look, I like the Jumbotron idea just because if you are sitting underneath the Jumbotron now, you can't see anything. Like, it's nice to have that on the other side also. But this bar lounge thing, it just annoys me because we're going to be losing 3,000 seats, 4,000 seats, something like that, go under 100,000 for the total capacity. And why in the hell would you have a bar if you can't even serve alcohol? Like, I'm going to go to a bar to get a Diet Coke.
They can't serve alcohol.
Can they?
You've been living under a rock?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I haven't gone to a game in Neyland in a while. I mean, when I was there, I was playing, so I wasn't in the stands.
It was, I guess, 2 years ago, or it was when we played BYU, I think, for the first time as well. If my memory serves, that was the first season they started serving alcohol in Neyland.
Okay.
Yeah, which I get it. You're a player. Like you said, you were on the field. You're not in the stadium. So, and it wasn't a big deal to you, I guess, at the time. But, I think it was – I don't know if you might have still been playing in the NFL. I don't know. But, I think it was BYU that season, the Georgia State season. I think that was the first. So that was, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So 2 seasons ago, they started serving alcohol.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's better just for the bar. But like I said, if it's going to take our capacity under 100,000, I don't want it. I want 102,455.
So, all right. First off, a couple things. It's very impressive. I read an article that they're doing and they need 500 million and they already have 200 million of it. That it happens so quick. Big college athletics is amazing. Whether it's our we have our big hitter donors like everyone else does, but it's just like, hey, yeah, they like call you up and it's like, all right, this is what we're doing. Yeah. How much you need? It's like, well, you can give whatever you want. It's like, all right, here's 20 mil. And it's just like nothing, or like, here's 15 mil, no big deal. And it's all the same people that probably are giving it. But I just thought that was funny. The other thing is too, it just, for me, the vibe is it's going to be like an NFL stadium. And not necessarily just because of the bar, but because they're having those chair back seats, behind behind UT's players and behind the opposing players.
Yeah.
So it's like that nice little section. They're going to have chair backs. Those people also are going to have ability to go down to like a bar, lounge, food area that's like field level. And then like you were talking about the Jumbotron that's up there that they're going to have the little walk around. So it's just like NFL. I mean, it's what it comes off to me. It's like, when you walk into the Tennessee Titans Stadium and you're up under the Jumbotron, but down there they got the food and the alcohol and stuff like that. That's what it's going to be like on the new under the Jumbotron. Then you get the chair back seat. So I've been thinking about this, and a guy cracked me up. One of the callers who always calls into sports talk was like, I don't know about this. It always makes me nervous that we're going to lose seats in there. And it was funny because when I heard him, I'm like, all right, I get it, but that's kind of old school. But now you're saying it and you're like, you don't want to lose seats. And an article I read, it said that no one has come out and said how it's going to affect the seats of the 102,000.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, like if Neyland's under 100,000, like I grew up with that. Like that was what made it so cool, is because it was, as growing up, we always heard. Now, listen, if it's not 102, whatever. But if it's not 100,000, and they're going to pitch it that there's 100,000 people in there because there's going to be people with standing room tickets or whatever the crap may be. But yeah, I don't want to lose and go under 100,000. The Jumbotron's nice. The little bar area, whatever. The chair back seats are all nice. But like, there was something cool still walking in Neyland, and it's like I'm a pre-banana, me, like I'd rather sit like courtside or in the skybox or whatever. But in times of going to Neyland, like there was something special, kind of that aura about it. Like, hey, we got no chairbacks here. You see the people carrying in those little like foldy ones that it's supposed to help your back. It's supposed to help your back, and then you sit on them and they're uncomfortable as heck. So it's like those, like, just that kind of made Neyland what it was. Now, I'm not saying don't renovate like or not the common areas. What are those called? Like the walkways?
Yeah, the walkways. I mean, bro, if you've ever been back behind the student section, it's death back there. Like it is horrible compared to the other side of the stadium. It's
that's
insane.
what I was just about to make that point. I think it's hilarious that if you're on that V, U, V, W, whatever side, it's really nice and cool. But you just take a little walk and you feel like you're back in 1970s, which I actually don't mind that. Like, I think it's kind of cool. Like, you're over there, it's kind of grungy. You're coming through this little dark alleyway, and then you pop out to Neyland. Like, it kind of cool to me. Now, they'll make it nice and beautiful, and it'll look great. But, like, I will kind of miss a little bit of that dunginess over there.
Yeah, it's like you get urinals on the nice side, you get piss troughs on the other side. It's a different feel.
It's like those college those students need to feel it like all the other students that come from them. They need to get that,
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. Like having just the metal seats all throughout and just feeling big Coliseum, and it was always sold that like it's over 100,000. I remember like having a poster up in my room, and I think it was versus Notre Dame. Did we play Notre Dame at home?
Yeah.
There was a poster in my room, and it was like the record 107,000 people had been in Neyland, and I just remember being like, oh my God, 107,000 people. Like that is insane. And like you said, if you get to this point where you're adding the bar, you're adding little walk around area. You're adding these like lounge areas for people to go to. It's like, why are you're distracting them from the game? Like, you're giving people more things to do besides the game. NFL teams do that because it's an event to go to an NFL game. You're not like, it's not a crazy fandom. You're not going to watch every play. But in college, you're watching every single play. You're making sure you're locked in. And if you have that kind of stuff, it does take away from it. And the first time I saw that kind of stuff in a college stadium was at Ole Miss. When we played Ole Miss, I remember coming out of the tunnel and there was like a lounge area with like couches and seats and stuff on the field level, like right in the corner. And I just felt so strange about it. I'm like, what? Like, who paid for that? Like, who set up that? Like, what kind of season ticket holders get the little lounge area? And it's in the corner of the end zone. Like, you could not see anything on the field either. So it's just like hey, we want to try and talk while a game's going on. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's kind of gimmicky in a way. It just happens that the two of us talking about it aren't big on it, but we could talk to somebody else and they could really like it. But first off, I remember as a kid, and you're sitting there and you get the PA loudspeaker, and they're like, tonight's attendance is 103,000, and the whole place just like erupts.
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember one Florida game, they said it was 107,000, and it was like a record or whatever, and all this different stuff. And so that stuff's cool, and I'm right there with you. Like, I don't want to listen. If we're just right at 100,000, that's fine, but I don't want to go under that because it just feels different. But you're right, because that's the exact same point I was going to make about NFL teams. Like, NFL teams, you do have like you and I, which are big Titans fans, but then you also have people who just go to the game because it's an NFL game. They'll get a drink, they'll socialize, they'll just go just to say they went. They maybe watch 30 or 40% of the plays, and then as the game gets closer towards the end, they might watch. And it's just kind of like an event. And honestly, we don't need that. Even when Tennessee's not good, we don't need that because people are still so invested. They're still there. They're still watching. And it's just like, it's going to look great. It's going to look great. They're going to do a great job. Personally, I would have done the things that like upgrade some things, but I don't know about like adding certain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like upgrade the bathrooms or stuff, or the concessions or that. Like, you can upgrade that stuff and make it nicer. But I don't know how much I would have messed with the seats. Yep. Even given the little area of chairbacks. Okay, sure. But yeah, it's just a different, like, that's what makes college football special, is because it's not the NFL. Like, in the NFL, if you're not the Steelers, the Packers, like the Cowboys, even though Jerry World's incredible, but like those teams that are just like, those are the teams that actually have true diehard fans. Like Cleveland Browns, like all those, like, they are true diehard fans. Like, they're going to pack it and actually watch the games like college. But then you got, the Miami Dolphins. Or like, you look at Hard Rock Stadium on Sundays and like it's half filled and some people are just in there with their shirts off, just drinking brews.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, it's going to look great and it's going to look nice. And I don't want to sound like some old head, like, get off my lawn, but like, I guess I don't want it to go under 100.
That's it. I don't, we're 27, 28 respectively. What are you, 29? Am I
Who,
right?
me?
Yeah.
I just turned 30 in May. So yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
We talked about it. Thanks for even knowing
but we're not old. We're part of the younger generation. And it's like, still, I don't want that to change. And,
yeah.
I think the new additions aren't for older people. You know what I mean? They're for the younger people.
Good point.
Still,
Good
younger
point.
people are saying, I don't want that. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if it goes under 100,000. I have no idea if, the seat total is going to change that much or not. So sorry to interrupt, but got to shout out another sponsor. It is Moink Box. So this is a meat delivery service that honestly gives you the most delicious meat that you can find. It's insane. They were on Shark Tank, and Kevin O'Leary even said it was the best bacon he ever tasted. So there's proof. It's very good. Okay. Why do just four companies control 80% of the U.S. meat industry? Because big food crushes the little guy. But you can help change that with moinkbox.com. This is a 8th generation farmer, and it's the little guys. You want to help the family business more than the big corporations. So why not jump into this subscription? So join the Moink movement today. Go to moinkbox.com/believe. That's BLEAV right now. And listeners to this show get free bacon for a year with every box ordered. Free bacon. Who doesn't want that? That's 1 year of the best bacon you'll ever taste, but for a limited time. So spelled Moink, MOINK, box.com/believe. That's moinkbox.com/believe. Let's jump into the new college football playoff. So it's not official yet. This was an idea created by the people who create the ideas. I don't know. It's like Greg Sankey and all the commissioners of all the Power Fives and different, talking heads. So it's a 12-team playoff with the first 4 getting automatic buys, and 5 through 12 play against each other at home sites. So the higher seed is at home. And then the first 4 are the highest ranked Power 5 conference champions. I love this idea. I think it's just going to add so much more fun. I think one thing that probably needs to change with it is a 12-game schedule needs to go down a little bit. Like maybe make it 10 or 11, just because, that's a lot of games that a team has to play to get to the championship. But I love the fact that it's the conference champion. Like, you're not going to have that scenario a few years ago where it was, LSU, Alabama. LSU beat Bama in the regular season, won the SEC championship, and then Alabama plays them again in the national championship. It's like, well, you didn't even win your side of your conference. Like, should you be in the national championship? And then all the inclusive, like UCF, Coastal Carolina, Cincinnati, those guys that would have never gotten a chance to be in the top 4 get to be in the playoffs and get a chance to play against those teams. So I love it all around. I think people are a little ridiculous when they're like, well, there's going to be blowouts because the number 5 team is so much better than the number 12 team. There's already blowouts. That's how most of these games have happened. There's only been like 2 games that have been 1-score games in throughout the entire playoff system over the past, 6 years. So I think it's great. What say you?
Yeah, I'm fired up about it. I didn't hear anybody say there's going to be blowouts. They probably did say that, so I believe you. But like you said, it's a great argument. Even the freaking, when it's like the only 4 teams, like the semifinal games are usually blowouts. You know what I mean? So, no, I'm pumped about it. I'm really excited for it if they do it. I'm very surprised. I thought they would go to 8, but 12. I love 12. Like, I think 12. If it was 8, I'm good with 8. I think 12 is a perfect number. I don't really want to go more than 12, but I think 12 is a good number. 10 would be, okay. But I saw who would have been in there last year. I would have loved to watch Coastal Carolina get a chance at Notre Dame. I would have loved that. Now, here's the thing. The bracket that I saw from last year would have been Coastal Carolina versus Notre Dame, and whoever wins would be playing Oklahoma. Now, what stinks is I feel like Coastal Carolina would not have matched up well against Notre Dame because Notre Dame just would have ran the ball. But I thought if they somehow won, I thought Coastal Carolina could match up very well with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So like those matchups would be very enticing. And that was just from last year. One thing that I haven't heard people talk about, which I think is pretty surprising, these coaches want this playoff because this is going to keep a lot of coaches' jobs. And not one person, not one person has said this on any media, local or national media. So I want to get on national TV and say this because I haven't heard anyone say it. These coaches are going to love this, and I think it will bring some stability to some of these programs. For example, he's had a couple good years. He got to a New Year's Six bowl, and he got to some other big bowls. Yeah, that's pretty good. Wait till he can say, I made it to the college football playoff. And it's like the one of the example I could think of was like Mark Richt. Or when he was at Georgia or Tennessee when we had Philip Fulmer, they didn't win the national championships. We all know Philip won one. I always argue he should have won more. Mark Richt never won a national championship. But coaches like that, they're getting that 9, 10, 11 win year, but they're not making it to the SEC championship or Big Ten or Pac-12 championship. Doesn't matter. They're in the playoffs, and as you know, in the NFL. All that matters is making the dance because you never know what's going to happen then. Injuries. But the other thing too about it is you're talking about blowouts. Yeah, there's plenty of blowouts. But that one special upset, we're all going to remember it forever, and it's going to make it worth it. That's it. You could have those first 7 games or 6 games, all 6 of them can be blowout. And if we get that one that's an upset, it changes the game. It's all it takes is one. And it's going to happen. That's sports. That's why you play them.
And it's more of a selling point for recruiting too, where guys can say like, hey, come here. We make it to the playoffs. Like we'll make it to the playoffs instead of this, monopoly pretty much that Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson have, where it's just like, we're the only teams that are going to make it. So if you want to play in the championship, you have to come here.
Right. Of
these 3 teams, all the others won't. Like they're fighting for the 4th spot and they can't make it. But it's like, oh, now there's 12. Now it's, a guy might pick Wisconsin over Ohio State because he knows Wisconsin can still be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
A guy might pick Tennessee over Alabama because he knows Tennessee can get to the playoffs. It's like so much more wide open. And you said coaches saving jobs. Like imagine a coach saying like, I won a championship and I got to the quarterfinals 4 years out of my 10-year career. So it's like, oh, you're doing pretty good.
Right.
You won one. Obviously, you want to win more, but you're still, in the playoffs. You're still putting your name out there, and so all around, I think it's awesome. I agree with what you said. Where I thought it was going to be 8, but them to do 12, it makes those first 4 spots that much more valuable because of the first round bye. And I love the fact that there could be home playoff games. It matters if you're number 8 or number 9 because you got home field advantage. And it's not just a neutral site, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine saying, hey, I got tickets to the playoff game and we're talking about Neyland Stadium and the Tennessee Vols, and it's like,
Dude,
December.
Oh my God. How rambunctious that place would be for a playoff game.
It'd be insane. It'd be insane because now
I'm literally getting chills right now thinking about it.
Listen,
I am not lying.
Literally, I don't think it'd be any more rambunctious than the Oklahoma game a couple of years ago, the Florida games, the Georgia games. We bring it. I mean, it is nuts. Now, NBA or NFL or some of these pro, there is a much different aura when you walk in a building when it's a playoff. Like going to a playoff Grizzlies game, which I know a lot of people might not like the NBA around here, but it was an incredible atmosphere. Going to a Tennessee Titans game that's a playoff game, you can smell it. Like literally, it has it. Like you can feel this just on you, like the pressure. It's insane. So we care about Florida and Georgia and Alabama, but there might be just a half centimeter more if you walk in holy crap, this is a freaking playoff game. Like, it's nuts. Like, so it would be really cool to experience that. Yeah, I love that it's 12 and not 8. I'm very surprised that they did that. We should have known. We all knew this was kind of coming because it's just money. They can make more money. The one thing I do want to touch on is you're talking about the games. I don't think you change the game because it's not fair to the rest of the college football to not get 12 games. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like the, we'll just say like, West Virginia or, Illinois or somebody, they're going to have a chance every 5 to 8 years to maybe have a good team and make it in the thing. But like, I don't want to take 2 games away from their kids or from their coaches or from their fans just because the select few elite are always going to have to play multiple games. And the thing about it is like, yeah, it's player safety and stuff like that, but it's only going to be a few teams. And I just don't think it's going to hurt 18, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. Like with the technology that we have now and how people recover and how they watch all that stuff. And these coaches know what they're doing, bro. Like, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney, Ryan Day, like, they know they know what they're doing. So like they're gonna have the best nutrition, the best recovery time, best everything. So I don't want to take 2 games away from the rest of college football for a select 20 to 25 teams over the next 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. So I do kind of agree with that. Like I don't want to take away another opportunity for a kid to play the game.
Right.
It's just like it would suck to just have less time because that's always what you look back on. Like after you're done playing, it's like, dang, I wish I had another season. I wish I had another game. I wish I could play more.
Would it really affected you? I mean, just think about it. If you're a senior and you guys are running and gunning and you're undefeated, bro, you ain't going to care that you just played 17 games. You're taking it 1 week at a time and you're pumped up. You know what I mean? Like it's not, So, I mean, it is a lot. It's a lot. I don't even like that the NFL plays 17 games. I wish the NFL would play probably 15 games. I just, you know what I mean? Like it's so, I can't imagine going through a 17 game season in the NFL and then playing playoffs, how those guys' body must feel. I still remember how my body would feel literally in high school, in college. I bet you do too. It's like, I mean, at the end of the season, you really do just need to do nothing for a couple of weeks or whatever. Yeah. But it's such a business that those guys can only take a couple of weeks off because then they're like, holy crap, I got to get ready for next season. So
I'm going to get cut if I don't start working out.
Right. So I get it, but it's like, it's just, it's big business. And so the more money, more games, more money, but
true.
Yeah. And I just don't, like I said, I would love for it not to be 17 games, but I don't want to take other games away from these other kids at other schools.
Yeah. Makes sense. But yeah, I'm super excited for it. I think I really want it to pass. One team that does get kind of screwed, but I don't know if they really care is Notre Dame because they're not necessarily in a conference, so
they can still get one of the at-large bids.
But they can't get 1 through 4 because it was conference champions.
I will be so pissed if they make an exception just for Notre Dame. Like I will, if they're like, yeah, they can still make it in the top 4 because they're Notre Dame. I'll be furious. So they better just join the ACC and be done with it. And it was better it was awesome when they were in the ACC this past year, anyways. They always have to play. Notre Dame. I can't stand Notre Dame, so I don't even want to get on a tangent. But their schedule every year, they have 6 automatic wins. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
So there was actually one other thing I just thought about too is. I feel like as a Tennessee fan, it gives me a little bit more hope because you made a comment about the Alabama LSU game a couple of years. And I know a lot of people were pissed about that. I wasn't because I thought that they were the best teams. So I thought they were the best teams. It didn't bother me. We'll never know, but we'll say Ohio State or whoever else was bitching and complaining that year that, oh no, we got a chance. They already beat them. They didn't. It's like, bro, if LSU or Bama would have played Ohio State, they would have drummed them probably by 30. You know what I mean? Now, we don't know that. We don't know that, and there's no way to prove it. I'm just saying, I thought those were the 2 best teams. So there's times where a couple years ago where they were talking about Alabama and Georgia. And it's one of them's going to play in the SEC championship, and you have to win that game to make it to the playoff. because there's only 4 teams, but now they'll both get in. You know what I mean? So you still want to be SEC champions, and that game's still very important. You still want to win your conference, but if you don't, hey, regroup. You still got a chance. You still got a chance.
We'll probably see him again. So just get ready.
And I'm fine. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me that most people are like, "Well, no, it weakens the SEC champ." No, dude, it's still the SEC championship game. People still want to win that.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't feel like, especially for people like us, like Tennessee, like we got to win the East before we get to the college playoff. Or like we got to win the East and then make the SEC championship just to have a chance at the playoff. No, now you make the SEC game and, you play well enough or win, then you will be in the playoff. So it's kind of nice.
I mean, if it's the SEC championship we're talking about, the 2 teams that are in it, if it's Georgia and Bama, whoever wins that game gets so much more than whoever loses. The winner of that game gets a first round bye, gets to be in the top 4. The loser of that game has to play the next week against a good opponent. Like that almost makes it more valuable, that game in and of itself, just to be like, we could either be number 3 or number 8, depending on this game. And that changes so much.
Right. And I agree, because ultimately, the only thing that truly matters is the national championship.
Yes.
So it's like, you get another chance at it and you have a better chance at it type deal. So, but I'm fired up. It's cool. I mean, I'm still kind of surprised they're doing 12 games, but I shouldn't be surprised, or 12 teams, but I shouldn't be surprised because it's big money, college athletics, and that's what matters. So,
just like we talked about, the $200 million coming in just overnight, pretty much.
Yeah, they don't care. Glad they didn't call me. I'd be like, yeah, I got about $460 for you, about $4.63.
Did I tell you about the like thank you phone calls that we had to make when I was in college?
No, you didn't.
Yes.
No, but that's pretty tough.
Yeah. So they would literally give us a sheet of like 30 names and their, home or cell phone numbers, and be like, call these people. And they gave you a little, outline to say. Outline to say. And it was just like, hello, my name is Kyler Curson from the University of Tennessee football team. I just wanted to call and thank you for the donations that you have made over this past year. Like, that was what it was. And I mean, we had to do it every year. And it was so awkward and weird. Like, you're making us pretty much cold call people. Yeah. And say thank you. But silver lining, one year I got the H's and I got to talk to old Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, Daddy Haslam.
Yeah. And called him, did the little spiel, and he, paused. He's like, Kermison. Like, yes, sir. He goes, you're an offensive lineman, aren't you? Yes, sir. He goes, you went to Knoxville Catholic, didn't you? Yes, sir, I did. He goes, how am I doing? Pretty good? Like, yes, sir, you are. And he was just like, I appreciate you guys calling, man. Yeah, that's really nice. I love the University of Tennessee. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Well, yeah,
we love the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like, everything on the campus is named after you. Like, yeah, no kidding.
Right. Hey, so, you know what? It is pretty tough. Like, it is pretty tough because, like you said, it is literally cold calling, but it is kind of cool. Like, I think it's still pretty nice. And you don't know who you're going to meet or talk with. Like you said, you got to talk with Mr. Haslam or whatever, but I think it's a nice gesture. But it's funny, like, Haslam's gotten 19 million of those calls. He gets one every year. Yeah. Just like some of these other boosters, they're like, oh, great, here's my call. But dude, listen, they're still fans. They're still fans in a way. So, like, whoever got a call from Dobbs was like loving it, like, that, some of these lamos, they're at dinner they're at lunch, the business meeting. They're like, yeah, I just got my call from Dobbs. Thanking me for everything.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think at that point when I called Jimmy, it's like, I wasn't a starter. Like, yeah, I was a second string guy, sometimes played on special teams on field goal. It's like, he knew me because I was from Knoxville and all that kind of stuff. Right. And obviously he's a fan, but some people are like, who the hell is this? Like, who's calling me right now? I don't even know who this is. And then it's just funny. It's like no one wants to hear from me. They want to hear from Dobbs. They want to hear from Justin Hunter. They wanted to hear from the running backs. They like the But that's always just like a weird thing.
Let me say this. This is funny. This was funny. So when I was in Memphis, they have the thing called the Highland 100, and that's like their big time boosters and stuff like that. We had to go eat dinner with them.
I had to do that once too.
Yeah. Oh. So listen though, this is me being me. So this is towards the end of the year. I already knew I was out of there. I'm like, bro, we're trash. I'm not playing college football anymore. Like this, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I was like, it's like November. I've already known I'm checking out. My family was in Memphis for the game that weekend. And my dad and my uncle had a tea time and they were going to go play golf. But I was like, I don't think I can go because this Highland 100 crap. Well, I'm like, most people my age wouldn't do that. But me, I look at them like, dude, this is a waste of time. Like, bro, I ain't going to be here. I don't want to go have some dinner with these people. They could probably be very, very, like, some of them probably are stuffy and a little weird. But some of them are probably pretty cool. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna try to be negative and say that all the dinners are weird and not fun and whatever. So they could have gone and had a good time, and you could have gotten lucky with a good family and stuff like that. And it's a nice thing to do. But like, they don't do. No one knew who I was. Like, they don't care about somebody who's not playing or like, you know what I mean. So I was like, it's just a waste of time. Like, and this is time that I could be spending with my my dad and my uncle. So I texted our director of football operations. And he was a cool guy. He was a nice guy. And I figured he'd be like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's like, you're going to have to talk to Coach Porter about it. So our head coach was Larry Porter. And I was like, I think Cupper, our director of football operations, be like, he ain't going to go to Porter. I went to Porter. and so I was like, F it, man. I don't want to do this. Like, I just want to go play golf, spend time with my family and stuff like that. So I go and I knock on his door. And like walk in. And first off, that was like the second time I've been in his office. All these college football coaches, their offices are insane. It was so sick. He had almost more LSU stuff than Memphis stuff because that's where he'd won a national championship as a running back coach. But so I go in there, I'm like, hey, Coach Porter, and we talk for a second. He's just like, why are you in here? Like, what is this nonsense, all that? And I was like, hey, Coach Cupper wanted me to come ask you. I was like, I got some family in town. We're celebrating my dad's birthday. Like, do I really have to go to the Highland 100 or whatever thing? And he like kind of had some smart alecky comments and like was trying to be like, hey, is that more important than us? But then he was also like, I don't care. Like, you're nobody on this team, like whatever. It was the way he didn't say that, but how he acted. But yeah, so then he was like, I mean, yeah, like sure, whatever, if you don't want to. And so I walked out there and I was like, yes, yes! I was like, I don't have to go to that nonsense and stuff. So, but it was pretty tough conversation to have. Like, it was just kind of awkward. But I just knew I would. It sounds bad, but I knew I wasn't going to be there. I wasn't invested in that team anymore. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't part of that program. So I just would have been pissed wasting 2 hours when I could have been with my family.
Yeah,
So.
I completely agree. I had to do those too, and it's those people care so much about us that they give their money away for us. So
right.
You feel obligated to do it. I grew up a fan before I was a player, so like I understand the fan perspective. But bro, that thing is awkward. And the reason why sometimes it's awkward is they give the donors food before they give us food. So we show up later, like all the donors have already eaten. We show up, go through a buffet, and then sit in our spots. Or you choose.
So you didn't have to go to someone's home like we did, but y'all had to like just okay.
No, so it was like in Thompson Bowling, and they put up tables everywhere, and like you sat in a spot or sat.
Yeah, and like had to talk with somebody.
Had to talk with somebody, but it's like they're done eating and they're just staring at you while you have a plate to eat.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm supposed to eat and talk to you at the same time,
right.
Like entertain you pretty much.
Yeah. You not entertained?
It's like you came here to talk to a UT football player, and that's why it's just like the way it is presented is awkward. Yeah. That's the problem with it. It's just so strange. Yeah. I wish it was done in a different way, but you just
feel like an animal in the zoo.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, so Kyler, how'd practice go today? And you're like just trying to get a piece of like, steak in your mouth.
Like, can I finish this chicken? Or are you gonna ask me another question? Like, am I gonna have to go,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
like every 5 seconds? So it's always very weird. But they love it.
It's one of those.
Maybe it's a story that they'll have for the rest of their lives and they'll talk about it. But
yeah,
I don't know if I'm that important. The people sitting with Dobbs probably will, but
yeah, it's just one of those things that kind of has to be done. So
has to. I know you wanted to talk about a little bit of recruiting, right?
Yeah. So I just wanted to hit on the Walter Nolen thing. And people asked, they've DM'd us and hit us up and just said, like, will you talk about certain recruits that you think are people we shouldn't miss on or we have to hit? I would just say that this is one guy that, like, I mean, we're not high up on his list. Like, he didn't even have us in his list. And I had to do some checking over the weekend and was like, bro, I don't even think we're in on this guy. And then I saw, and it was all over Twitter after I heard that he did visit. So, but like, just because, two reasons for me. It matters that he's a 5-star and it matters that he's supposedly one of the best players in the nation. Yes, that matters. But what also matters to me is because he's a defensive tackle and because he's from Memphis. So it's like, say if he was from Alpharetta, Georgia, which is still pretty close to here, and he was a 5-star, it wouldn't feel the same as if we don't get him. Now, I get it. Memphis is 6 hours away. It doesn't matter. It's still the state of Tennessee, and it's a very important part of the state of Tennessee for recruiting-wise. And it's just like, his head coach was Marlon Walls, like, for a couple of years. And it's like, when I talk to my Memphis people, which is my family and different people I know down there that are very in touch into this stuff, it was like, oh, he's definitely going to go to Tennessee. Like, he's definitely locked in at Tennessee. Like, Marlon Walls is a coach. Like, they have a great relationship, yada, yada, all this stuff. And then it comes out, and it's like, he doesn't even have us on his list. So, and it might be because people think, oh, he's definitely going to go to Tennessee because of the Marlon Walls connection or because he's in the state. And some kids don't like that. Like, we know Amari Rogers was never coming here. Like, he wasn't going to go be T. Martin's son again. He had to be T. Martin's son all the way through Catholic, and he wasn't going to go do it again at UT. And I respect that. So, like, maybe he doesn't want to just do it because he is just like, you were the hometown kid that wanted to play there. Some people are like, I'm not going to go to UT just because people expect me to go to UT. Mm-hmm. But, like, I think it's so important because he's an in-state kid and the position he plays. In this conference, to have a disruptor on the defensive line is, besides quarterback, it's the most important thing, I honestly believe. Matter of fact, in college football, I really do think the coach matters, number one, quarterback, number two, and then, like, offensive, defensive line. And it's just like, that's why I don't want to miss out on him. And that's why I think he's a big deal. But if I'm not mistaken, we have him that's a 5-star. There's a couple different 4 and 5 stars in the Nashville area. And then the number one running back in the nation is from Mississippi. And I saw his Twitter account that said Germantown High School. And I don't know if that's a Germantown in Memphis or if there's a Germantown in Mississippi somewhere. But, like, that would be a kid that would be a huge, huge get, especially if he is Germantown High School in Memphis, which it will take 2 seconds for me to check. I know I'm coming into this a little bit unprepared, but I'm just saying, like, that's why I think the Walter Nolen thing is such a big, big deal because of the position, and he is in state. Yeah. So, I mean, we got to get some of the, I think it's awesome that the Vincent Sneed went to a 4-star because right when he signed, Taylor and I were talking about him off the record, and Taylor was like, I don't necessarily see it with him. So it was great that, like, he went down to a camp and really impressed, which is awesome. And they bumped him to a 4-star. That's a big deal because it makes our class look better. Hopefully it attracts more people. And it means that kid's balling and doing well. And the thing is, everything you see, he loves UT, and it's a great, I mean, we need defensive ends and people who go get the quarterback. So that's a great thing. It was funny that we were going to talk about Rotarius Torrance. We didn't talk about him. He was here for a week. Like, whatever, man. Like, see you, go to Auburn. Like, enjoy it. Like, I don't care. I don't know anything about you. I guess he went there because it's closer to home. But okay, that's fine. Like, other than that, we've just had a bunch of visits. Last thing I'll say, and we can wrap this up. I think this baseball team is an absolute godsend for besides UT and the university and all us fans, but for Heupel and those coaches. Because if you can't bring a kid in and take them to one of the regional games last week and be in the stadium. Matter of fact, that 5-star linebacker from Indiana, who'd be a great gift for us. He was there and he was at the game. I saw a picture of it and he was like, this is insane. Like, this is awesome. Like, this atmosphere is incredible. So like stuff like that, like most of the time we're bringing kids in and we're just, friggin' taking them to Calhoun's or to showing around campus and whatever bullcrap like that. Like, no, like people who are in town this week, like they're about to go to a block party and have they're going to be shocked and they're going to be like, whoa. Then they're going to maybe go to a baseball game and be like, this is incredible. So I think that is help recruiting freaking big time that they could get kids last weekend and this weekend. Matter of fact, I was in my own head. I'm like, Reed, stop caring about recruiting. It doesn't matter. But I was like, man, I just wish Walter Nolen could come this weekend to see what I mean? So, but
yeah, I mean, it gives those recruits a look at what the fandom here is like, what they're going to get whenever they come and play in Neyland. And like, this is 4,500 people and how excited they are. Imagine 100,000. Like, it's going to be a huge difference. And I do agree with that because I took my official visit after I committed in January. So like after my senior season of football, I took my official visit to Tennessee and it was fine, hanging out, seeing everything, hanging out with the guys that I was about to be teammates with. But it's like there was nothing exciting going on. I picked a horrible time to go, honestly. But yeah, I think it definitely makes a difference for sure. And every team can help the other in that way. Baseball bringing their guys, recruits, and to football games, and basketball bringing football games, and football going to basketball games, and it's crazy how much everyone cares about every sport. It really does not matter as long as there's orange on there. These fans, they're dying for it.
Well, and the other thing is, I remember being at basketball games, and they would put up on the like. I remember one year they put Bryce Brown, or then maybe another year they put Trey Smith on there in Thompson Bowling Arena, and it's in a crazy atmosphere in a big game. And then they just see the kid. Like, I don't even think they announce them. I don't think they can announce them. They just show them on the screen, and the place just goes bananas. That's a big deal for a 17, 18-year-old.
When I was doing my internship for basketball in college, Drew Richmond was visiting and sitting up in the stands, and they just like, welcome, Coach Butch Jones, and just he was sitting right next to Drew. They just like put the thing on, and the place erupted. Because Drew's a 5-star coming out, so it was just like that kind of stuff can make such a huge difference. Why did
you take a visit during the crappy time? Why didn't you get a good game going?
I don't know, because I think the way I viewed the official visit, I was just like, I mean, I'm going here. Like, I guess I can take it. Like, whatever. I'm not like, this is fine. It wasn't a thing. And I didn't even take any other official visits anywhere.
Yeah, we've talked about that. So dumb. You should have just done it just to get the trip.
I know. I should have. I definitely should have. I actually like went to places and like went to camps at places so I could like interact with the coaches. I was thinking too logically. I guess.
Let's get the well, I know we want to wrap this up, but let's get the Nick Saban story maybe next week about when you went down there.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely talk about Nick and why I chose not to go to Alabama. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you for listening, watching, listening to our opinions, I guess. And follow us on social media. I'm at Kyler Curbison, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. At rbacon26, right? Or 27?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
One of those on Twitter for Reed. As always, we're presented by Bet Online. So Go over there if you're ever trying to bet on any games. And tell all your friends and family. Let them know what we got going on. If you want to contact us, phone number 865-322-9232 and email believein tennesseefootball@gmail.com. So, as always, go Vols.